So, Roaring Kitty is currently being sued. Now, if you've never heard this name before, he is essentially one of the main figures that was behind the surge of the GameStop stock back in 2021. And really, it's like continued surge to this very day as well. So, if you don't know what's happened, I'll give you a little backstory now. I'm not going to go into too much details about it because I've read a little bit on it. But even like me, I'm not, when it comes to like stocks and all that kind of stuff, I am somewhat knowledgeable, but definitely not as knowledgeable as like people who are obviously invested in finance and, you know, make a lot of living off it. Like I have a little bit of money in stocks, but I'm just not like, you know, as knowledgeable as I'd say a lot of other people are. So I'm just going to kind of give it just a brief summary of what really happened. But back in 2021, GameStop's stock was crashing and it wasn't really doing well whatsoever. And it almost seemed that GameStop altogether was pretty much going to go out of business. I mean, GameStop really for years now, especially ever since the rise in, you know, digital media when it comes to video games, there's really no need to like go to your local GameStop, or here in Australia, we have EB Games, which is owned by GameStop. It's just for some reason called something different. So, you know, their stock hadn't been doing well for a long time. But on a page on Reddit, the guy who was going by, well, his Reddit name isn't Roaring Kitty. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but it's completely something else besides Roaring Kitty. He goes by Roaring Kitty on YouTube and Twitter. But he was posting in like a Wall Street like advice page talking about how much he actually values the GameStop stock. And he was telling people in there like that they should buy and invest into this GameStop, into the stock for GameStop. And after that, and the push from gamers as well is like he rallied, like a lot of gamers started rallying around this, like, man, GameStop's gonna go out of business. Let's start buying the stock. And a whole load of people started buying stock. And this guy, Roaring Kitty, was pretty much like the head of it, where he was just like standing there and just going, everyone buy GameStop. It's a good stock. He was telling me, he's just like, guys, I think it's a good stock. You should go ahead and buy it. And they did. And the stock for GameStop rose so far and so quickly that in January of 2021, it was $81 US. I think before that, it was down to like less than $10. Less than $10. And it rose all the way up to over $80 per stock. That is a massive jump. And actually, due to this, there was actually a lot of people on Wall Street who had stocks in like GameStop, and it actually bet on its downfall, lost so much money. Like there was a lot of white collar people who lost millions. Like a lot of people lost a lot of fucking money who had like sold their stock already into GameStop, and then all of a sudden, it just rose to an astronomical point. Now, ever since then, Roaring Kitty has pretty much just, you know, held on to a lot of his stocks. And from this, he's gotten extremely fucking wealthy. Like, extremely rich. And a lot of other people have actually done really well. I mean, they bought a lot of stocks, and then it rose exponentially. And then the only thing is that a lot of people did decide to sell it because it rose so quickly. Then when it got to its high point, a lot of people sold it. So it went back down, but then it's gone back up. And ever since then, it's kind of slowly gone back down on the decline. And 3 years ago, when all this like was going down and Roaring Kitty was at the head of it all, he actually like disappeared out of nowhere. And at first I didn't really know what it was, but then once I started to do a little bit more research into this video, it was supposedly, at least from what I am garnering, I have a feeling that this is one of the reasons why, is that he had a regularity issues where this guy, William Galvin, from like the Massachusetts Securities of the Commonwealth, wrote to Gill's employer that supposedly, you know, Gill was actually breaking some company like rules and some laws, and that he was like, you know, pretty much the way he was promoting the GameStop stock was, you know, not the proper way to really go about it, where Gill himself, because that's his last name is Gill, I think his first name's Keith, and he's very much just saying like, no, I thought the stock was extremely good, but obviously because of all this, I have a feeling this is the reason why he just kind of, you know, went off the map and didn't really say anything. But then 3 weeks ago, out of fucking nowhere, this man decided to go live. And at one point, he had 600,000 people, I think it was like 600,000 people watching his YouTube live stream. The stream now has over 2.5 million views. And on it, he was just kind of briefly talking about the GameStop stock, and he was also showing the amount of money and stock that he has in GameStop. I mean, look at this. The value of his stock is worth over $160 million. That is insane. He has a total gain of $92 million. But at this point, when he was making the stream, he had actually lost a lot of money in that day. So it seemed that, you know, the GameStop stock was starting to like crash a little bit. So I think that he went live to say like, hey, guys, you gotta keep investing in all of this. And since then, he is now being sued for security fraud. Now, there is a lot of different definitions for security fraud, and this is the case like summary itself. But supposedly, at least from the research that I've been doing, and I've been looking at it briefly, there's not really that much information that has really come out yet of this case because it is, you know, relatively fresh. It was only filed, like, you know, as you can see there, it was only filed on June 28th, and this is just like a brief summary about the whole entire thing. But from what I am garnering from this case summary and from what I've seen other people say online, is that supposedly the security fraud that he is being sued over is a pump and dump. Now, if you don't know what a pump and dump is, I'm going to put on the screen of like just a brief definition of it. And if you read this yourself, you're kind of just like even the first time that I read what a pump and dump was, I was extremely confused and I was just like, I don't get this at all. But I'm going to use a real life definition of it, a real life example to try and explain it to you so you can maybe get, even I myself, like I might not explain it in the best way, but I'm going to try and do my best ability. And it is from actually The Wolf of Wall Street. And if you haven't watched The Wolf of Wall Street, I 100% recommend you go and do so. But The Wolf of Wall Street in that movie, in you know, which was based off the real life of Jordan Belfort, him and his colleagues did a pump and dump. And essentially what a pump and dump is the pump is, is the first bit is that you invest in all this stock. So you put a whole load of money into a stock. And then what you do is that you are telling other people to buy it as well, saying like, hey, look how good this stock is doing. You guys have to buy this stock. You got to do this. You got to buy the stock. And then once you get enough people to buy the stock, you know, and that's what they were doing in the movie, is that that with their company, they were putting all their money into this certain stock, into these penny stocks, calling up people and saying, hey, there's a stock that's rising. You guys got to buy this. And then, you know, the people on the other side of the phone were going, oh man, yeah, fuck it. I'll put money into this stock as well. It's doing really well. And without those people knowing, when the stock rose, they would then sell the stock. They would then sell all the money that they have in the stock, essentially cashing out altogether. And before the people that they told, which is the dump part, is that once the stock rises, they pump enough money into it, get it to rise in the stock in the market, and then once it gets to a certain point where they like how much they've gained from that, they dump it all and they sell every single penny that they have in it. The stock absolutely crashes, and everyone else who is invested in that pretty much loses money. And then that is what a pump and dump essentially is. That's what they did in The Wolf of Wall Street. So this is what Roaring Kitty is being accused of, is that he's being accused of pretty much doing a pump and dump, where he has bought this stock, bought a whole load of it, telling people, hey, you guys have to buy this stock. Look how well it's doing. And then pretty much when it gets to a certain point, what they think is that he's going to sell it all. Now, from what I can see is that, like, yeah, he might be pumping the stock up, but he still has a lot of stock in this. This is from 3 weeks ago, and I'll put up the market summary of the GameStop. This is today, and as you can see, like, I don't have the exact dollar, but it's up to the top there of the moment of me recording this. As you can see, it's still at a decent price. Obviously, it's nowhere near of what it used to be, and it has like started to climb again, like ever since he gone live. Which I mean is pretty much the same whenever Elon Musk will tweet about some kind of cryptocurrency, saying like, hey guys, Dogecoin's looking good, and then it just fucking skyrockets, and then it just suddenly declines again. So he's pretty much doing the exact same thing, but he hasn't really pumped it. He hasn't really dumped anything. That's the only like really thing that I can see of him, you know, necessarily getting away with this and him actually not committing any type of security fraud. Also, he has said in the past that he himself, he's not really like doing this for that reason. He just really liked the stock and thought the stock itself had a lot of good value, which is the reason why he like started to make those Reddit posts at first when all this started to like, you know, initially go down back in 2021. I am definitely going to like keep an eye on all this. This will definitely take a long time. You know, cases like this, when it comes to security fraud, they take a very long time to get resolved, an extremely long time, because I have to do a lot of research into all of this. I don't see Roaring Kitty maybe going live for a little bit longer. You know, he did disappear for 3 years and then came back out of fucking nowhere, decided to go live and had, you know, a total of 2.5 million people in like one stream over the course of like, I think he streamed for like just an hour and a half or 2 hours or something like that. So I see him disappearing until like this whole entire case goes away. Well, I would like to hear what you guys have to think about this down below. Do you think that he is actually committing some kind of security fraud? I'm not sure. Like, I'm not that, like I said, I'm somewhat financially intelligent, but I'm definitely not as intelligent as a lot of people are, because there's a lot of people out there who are a lot more intelligent than I am when it comes to like stocks and the market and all that kind of stuff. So if you are, I'd like to hear what you have to think about that down below. Even if you're not, let me know below. That's it from me, guys. Peace out.